just happened. It didn't matter if we were going to get our heads broken. It didn't matter if we were going to go in the hospital. Nothing mattered. It was like moth to a flame. We just could not stop it.
By that night, we had it. When the cops came here and they were going to go into that dive across the street, the only place we had where we could go. Run by the mafia, yeah, but we could play those Motown songs and hold on to each other.
We joined in the riot, taking the rocks from the park, bottles, anything we could find. We broke the windows. We saw the police. They turned the water hoses on us from inside. We took them back, turned them back into them. They turned the water off. They were putting people in a paddy wagon.
This time was different. This was just instinct and just motivated out of all the problems we were having, out of all this talk of freedom, desiring this freedom, and somehow never going to get any of it.
This night, and those that followed, marked a major milestone in the gay rights movement, as described in these excerpts from the award-winning documentaries Before Stonewall and After Stonewall.
When the night of the Stonewall riots came along, just everything came together at that one moment. One of those moments in history where, and if you were there, you just knew this is it. This is what we've been waiting for.
The whole riot was really a transitional event in terms of a gay movement which at that point was close to 20 years old.
And Frank Kameny would know, having been so intimately involved in the early movement that many view him as one of its founding fathers. Nearly 2 decades before the Stonewall riots, Kameny had been fired from a federal job for being gay. Kameny appealed the action all the way up to the Supreme Court and ultimately lost. But he had decided whether he prevailed in his case or not, something had to be done.
So I founded the gay movement here in Washington and late in 1961, and things proceeded from there.
Even before Kameny's efforts, the Mattachine Society had been founded in Los Angeles in 1951, and in 1955, the Daughters of Bilitis in San Francisco. They were part of what was then known as the homophile movement, which sought to repeal sodomy laws and to promote greater tolerance of homosexuals, mostly through low-key literary appeals. Then came Stonewall.
When I got into the movement in '61, there were 5 or 6 gay organizations in the entire country, all on the East or West Coast. By the time of Stonewall, there were 50 or 60. Everybody in the movement knew everybody. A year later, there were, to best count, 1,000 organizations in the country. A second year later, there were 2,500 and people stopped counting. It took a major event, or turned into a major event, like Stonewall, to really trigger things.
People have often said that the Stonewall riots were bound to happen, or something like it was bound to happen.
David Carter is the author of Stonewall, the riots that sparked the gay revolution. It is the most in-depth account of the Stonewall riots. Carter spent 10 years researching and writing the book.
So this was a unique event. The Stonewall riots sparked the gay liberation movement by the founding of the Gay Liberation Front and then the Gay Activists Alliance, which were gay rights organizations that were modeled on a New Left model. And that's what transformed the small homophile movement into a mass political movement, putting the movement for gay civil rights on the political map of America forever.
It was a watershed night.
Gay activist and former D.C. delegate Sabrina Sojourner was the first openly gay African-American female to run for Congress.
It's the beginning of overcoming shame, plain and simple. We stand up for ourselves when we no longer feel shameful of who we are.
But what made Stonewall different was that the people who organized in the immediate aftermath of Stonewall recognized that if they didn't put it on the calendar in a significant way so that people remembered Stonewall, it would be forgotten to history.
Eric Marcus is the author of Making Gay History, the half-century fight for lesbian and gay equal rights.
So what they did is they moved an annual protest, which had been in Philadelphia since 1965, on July 4th. They moved it to the last weekend in June. It became the Gay Pride March, celebrating the Stonewall anniversary, and asked gay organizations all around the country to do the same. And then organizations around the world did the same.
But there are other, much more important legacies of Stonewall.
There's that Rosa Parks discussion about, well, why did you do what you did? Well, my feet were tired. I mean, it was kind of like we were tired. We were tired of being less thans, and what happened is Stonewall came around, and it gave us that spark, that impetus to be who we were and to make the changes.
Ellen Ratner is the longest-serving openly gay White House network correspondent, reporting from there since 1993.
We can't be fired because we're gay in several states. And so to me, that means we're equal members of society. That's very important. I never believed in my wildest dreams that we would have gay marriage. I never believed that I, Ellen Ratner, was going to introduce my partner to the President of the United States and not have them wince.
The progress has really been enormous and beyond anything we could have imagined back then. The sodomy laws have been repealed, so we're no longer criminals. The psychiatrists have been reversed, so we're no longer loonies.
Another excerpt from the documentary After Stonewall puts it this way.
And in December of 1974, gay men and women went to bed sick, and we woke up the next morning and we were instantly cured.
As we progress through the 21st century, among the major issues still to be resolved are retirement and financial security.
I'm 55 years old, and like a number of people who had 401ks, I no longer have one. And so the idea of retiring anytime soon is not on the plate.
Gay marriage.
I absolutely believe that we will, at some point, have nationally recognized same-sex marriage. We have to, because it's an egalitarian issue.
I have no doubts whatever that that's where it's going. Yes.
Another major concern, who will care for them as they age.
90% of gay people, gay and lesbians, over 50 or 55, don't have a child. Who is going to take care of us?
Meanwhile, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people 50 plus say one of the main things the younger generation can learn from them and from Stonewall is
hope. Is we didn't have, when we were younger, that many people who were older and who were out. There's a lot of us who are older and who are out now. And it's possible to confront homophobia, heterosexism, racism, sexism, and live and thrive. And that's what's really important.
For those of us who are older, if we're out in our everyday lives, if we're able to be proud of who we are, introduce our partners in a public place, whether we're shopping or traveling, people get used to us and the fact that we exist. We play a very important role as we grow older to let the world know that we're here.
It just is a dream. And it's all because somebody decided we've had enough and we're going to fight back and we're not going to take it anymore. And that's the American way.